Hey there, CJ Math students. Welcome to homework number 25, Intro to Ratios and Rates. Our ratio is a comparison of two numbers, and it can be written in three ways. I will show you exactly what I mean in a bit. And the order in which you write the ratio is extremely important. The wording matters. So let's take a look at this when it comes to CPS school closings. So back in 2002, if I take a look at my key right here, we got schools that close, schools that open, charter schools that open. In 2002, what was the ratio of school closings to new district-run schools? So only the schools that are in green, right? So school closings, that was 3. And to new school openings that were run by the district, that was 7. So there's your ratio, 3 to 7. Now, the other ways I could write this is 3:7, and as a fraction, 3 over 7. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that ratios, like fractions, can be simplified. All right. Now, like I said, the wording matters. Notice how in this next one I changed the ratio of new district-run schools to closings. All right. Notice how this just flips. Well, I had 7 openings for district-run schools to 3 closings, so the numbers actually flip around. The numbers are related to the phrasing words. No, you do not have to simplify that fraction into a mixed number. You can leave it as improper as long as it's fully simplified. All right. Question 2. It says in 2010, what was the ratio of school closings to new school openings? So we've got 9 school closings, and I wasn't specific about what type of new schools. I was just like every new school. So we have 12 new school openings. So I can say 9 to 12, or 9:12, or 9 over 12. Now, 9 over 12 can be simplified, so that's why I divide by 3. And now 9 to 12 is the same thing as 3/4. So I could also say 3 to 4, or 3:4, right? That's actually the more correct answer when you have a simplified fraction. Now, what was the ratio of school closings to total schools? So both schools that got closed and schools that were open. So how do we figure out this total? Well, we take the schools that were closed, and we add it to the schools that were open, and this is the total amount that we're talking about. So the schools that were closed were 9, the schools that were open were 12, 9 plus 12 is 21. So my ratio of schools that closed is 9 to 21, or 9:21, or 9 over 21. Now again, I got that fraction that I can simplify it. You can use a calculator to help you out. 9/21 could be divided by 3, and so you get 3/7. So 3:27 or 3:7 are also correct answers. All right. So now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about rate. So a rate is a specific comparison of two quantities with different units. So we've heard this before, such as like miles per hour, or dollars per day, or like pages per minute. These are all rates because we're comparing two quantities that have different units. So like miles and hours, those are two different units. Dollars per day, the slash means per, right? Pages per minutes, right? So those mean two different quantities. So if you take a look at this, a typical CPS school budget allows for $3,600,000 for 250 students. This is not super accurate, but these are the numbers we're going to work with. How much does the school spend per student, right? We're trying to figure out what we're comparing. We're comparing money, right, and the cost per student, so students. All right, so the money is $3,600,000, and the students are 250. So if I divide that, I will get my answer of $14,000 and $14,400 per student. That's important, right? The two different units, dollars and students. If you flip to the back side, there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can write to solve rates using proportions, right? So we could scale. So like, let's pretend we were talking about a teacher to student ratio. So if we had, let's say, I don't know, 1 teacher in the class and 10 students, we could use a table to figure out, hey, if we had 2 teachers, that would be 20 students. If we have 3 teachers, that'd be 30 students. If we had 4 teachers in the school, how many students would that be? We could figure that out. We could also cross multiply, and that's what you're going to work with tonight. So now let's just pretend we have 2 teachers to 20 students, right? We're comparing teachers and students. And I want to figure out, you write down teachers and students here. I want to figure out, okay, how many teachers would I need to for 100 students if I wanted a 1-to-1 ratio, right? So we're going to put our variable x here, right? And we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to do 20 times x. That's 20x. And we're going to do 2 times 100. That's 200. And then you can say to yourself, 20 times what number gives you 200? Or you can divide. You can divide both sides by what is attached to x, which is 20. Right? 20 divided by 20 is just 1. And then 200 divided by 20 is 5. So in this case, 20 divided by 20 is 1. So just cross that off. All you're left with is x. And 200 divided by 20 is 5. So you need 5 teachers if you wanted a 1-to-10 ratio in that classroom. So in problem number 4, we've got a local public school enrolling returning students and new students, say students from a closed school, right? The number of students enrolled at the school is 243. And the school reported that enrolled for every 7 returning students, 2 new students, right? So those are ratios. How many of each type of student was enrolled? So you can fill out the I notice and in your own words. Basically, it's how many new students and how many returning, right? So then what's implied? Well, we got a ratio of new to returning, right? That's going to be 2 to 7. But what also is implied is that we have a total here, right? We have a new to total ratio. So this is going to give us 2 over 9, and I can also do a returning to total. And my return to total is I had 7 students over 9. Where am I getting my 9 from? Well, if I have a group of 2 students and 7 students, 2 plus 9, 7 is 9. Okay? So my strategy here is basically I'm just going to set up 2 proportions. If I want to figure out the new students, I'm going to use the new to total ratio, new to total, and that's 2 to 7, that's the group. But then if I look at the whole school, I don't know how many new students there are, but I do know the total number of students in the whole school, 243. And I just solved that cross multiplying just like I did up there. And then I'll do the same thing for returning students. Return to total. And again, this ratio is 7 to 9. And I don't know how many students in my school are returning, but I do know my total number of students. That's 243. And again, I'll do my cross multiplying to solve it. Right? So that's what we did today in class. The rest is yours for homework. Call me if you have questions.